I've always thought of myself as a pretty calm guy. Middle-aged now with a bit of gray starting to peek through the hair. I guess I give off that easygoing vibe. People often say I'm the kind of person you can talk to without worrying about drama or sudden outbursts. Honestly, that's something I'm proud of. I mean, life's stressful enough without adding extra fire to it, right? Most mornings you'd find me in my little routine. A simple breakfast, a good cup of coffee, and then heading out to volunteer at the local wildlife rescue center. It's been my passion for years. There's something deeply fulfilling about caring for injured animals, helping them heal and eventually go back to the wild where they belong. When I'm out there barefoot in the dirt, tending to a hurt bird or feeding orphan fox cubs, all the noise of the world just fades away. It's peaceful, rewarding, and most importantly, it reminds me why I try to keep my own life balanced and calm. My friends say I'm too agreeable at times. I tend to avoid confrontation, often nodding along even when I disagree just to keep the peace. I guess that's why people don't expect much drama from me. I'm not one to raise my voice or make waves. Instead, I'm more the kind of person who listens, reflects, and tries to find common ground. Even when frustrations build up, you'd rarely see it boiling over. It's just not in my nature. That morning seemed like any other. I woke up early enough to catch the sunrise, brewed my usual strong coffee, and glanced over at the window while sipping it, watching the birds flit between the branches outside. I remember thinking, today's probably going to be a good day. The weather was clear, the air crisp with a bit of spring freshness, perfect for the work planned ahead at the sanctuary. Then, just as I was about to leave, I noticed my partner step inside from the garage, and something about him was different. Normally, he's just as calm and steady as I am, but this time his face was tense. Not the kind of expression you see from someone who's just had a regular morning. The way he sighed heavily and ran a hand through his hair wasn't like him either. At that moment, it hit me that something unusual, maybe even intense, had happened. I asked him what was wrong, hoping it was nothing serious. But the way he looked at me, that moment still fresh in his eyes, told me this wasn't going to be your everyday sort of problem. There was a spark there, maybe frustration or anger, emotions I'd rarely seen him express so openly. That morning, as he crossed the threshold, I couldn't have guessed the chain of events that had led him to walk in so visibly upset. And honestly, I didn't know what I was about to witness next. A side of him that most people never see, the moment when calm turns to storm. But before any of that happened, all I could do was listen and prepare myself for whatever story he was about to tell. I was just making my usual stop at the gas station on my way to work that morning. It's one of those routines you don't think twice about. Pull up, grab some fuel, maybe a quick coffee if I'm feeling rushed. Honestly, I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. But as soon as I saw the kid in front of me, I figured I might get that one-off frustrating moment that everyone dreads. This guy pulls his flashy car right up to the pump I had my eye on like he owns the place. And man, he looked like he had just stepped out of some rock band's backstage party. Long hair tossed over a leather jacket, ripped jeans, sunglasses that screamed, "Don't mess with me." I remember thinking, wow, okay, you've got attitude, but this isn't your stage. I was patient at first, thinking maybe he just got here first. But then he leaned out his window, gave me this cocky smirk, and completely ignored the fact that I was waiting behind him. I pulled up behind and tried to keep it cool. He's scoffing, tuning his car radio way too loud, and flicking ashes out the window like he's invincible or something. I leaned out my window and said, "Hey man, I was next in line for this pump." Pretty simple and honestly nothing aggressive. But he just laughed, gave me this sly grin and said, "Find your own pump, old man." Yeah, he actually said that. I'll admit, it threw me off. Normally, I just let something like that slide. But something about the arrogance, the complete disregard, it got under my skin. I kept my voice steady, trying to de-escalate. "Look, I'm just asking. There's a line you cut in. Not cool." But he leaned back and said, "Or what? You gonna do something about it?" That's when I noticed other people turning to watch. He was clearly trying to stir the pot, and honestly, I felt this strange heat building up inside me like a pressure cooker about to blow. I stepped out of my truck for the first time, figuring maybe a face-to-face would help. But as soon as I did, he got out of his car too, cracking his knuckles like he was ready for a fight. The tension was thick, like that moment right before a storm hits. I tried to keep my hands visible, kept my tone calm but firm. "Listen, I don't want trouble. Just behave like an adult." But this guy wasn't hearing any of it. He took a step closer, his smirk twisting into this arrogant sneer. It was at that moment. I didn't know exactly what snapped inside me, but the calm, collected guy everyone knew disappeared. Instead, there was this raw anger, this need to put this reckless kid in his place. I stepped in front of him, my voice lowering, warning him to back off. And that's when things really spiraled out of control. So yeah, that's how a routine stop at the pump turned into this heated showdown I never saw coming. Little did I know that verbal clash was only the beginning. The moment everything exploded into a physical fight was just a heartbeat away. I still can't quite explain what came over him that day. Usually, he's the most level-headed guy I know, calm in situations where most people would lose their minds. But when that young driver cut him off at the gas station, something inside just snapped. It was like watching a completely different person take over for a brief, incendiary moment. At first, he just stared, this cold, hard look that made the young guy freeze for a second. But then, suddenly, without a word, my partner lunged forward and slammed the kid down onto the pavement. It all happened so fast I barely had time to process it. 1 second it was just a tense standoff, the next he was on the attack. The kid tried scrambling away, crawling toward a car nearby, maybe hoping to hide or at least put some distance between them. But he wasn't getting away that easily. My partner kicked him hard, not just once but twice, right as the kid was trying to shuffle under the vehicle. I remember the shock of it, the raw fury that fueled every movement. The kid was crying now, eyes watering and stumbling over sobs, begging for forgiveness, saying he was sorry, that it wouldn't happen again. And honestly, I don't think I'd ever seen my normally composed partner this angry, this ruthless. Then, just as quickly as his rage appeared, it seemed to drain out of him. He paused, chest heaving, standing over the kid who was still wincing on the ground. Without a word, my partner delivered one final kick. Not out of anger this time, but almost as a last statement, then turned on his heel and walked away as if nothing had happened. It was this sudden flip, from calm to chaos and back again, that stuck with me afterwards. The part one couldn't shake was how he managed to lose control so completely, even if only for a moment, and then pull himself back from the edge. I'd always known him as someone who kept his cool in tough spots, so seeing this side of him was something else entirely. It made me wonder if deep down that kind of fury was always just beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to explode. But I have to believe this was a one-time thing. A rare fracture in an otherwise steady character. After all, who he is most of the time is exactly the opposite, patient, kind, thoughtful. So when he lost it like that at the gas station, part of me was left trying to understand why and how he could go from zero to that intense in a heartbeat. That moment didn't just end with a fight. It left a lingering question, a tension between knowing someone so well and suddenly seeing a completely unexpected side of them. And as we walked away from the chaos that afternoon, I kept thinking over and over, this surprising loss of control, fiery and startling as it was something I'd never seen before and hopefully never again.